They say some families are cursed, but I never believed it until it happened to us. What took place in Bella Vista is a memory that has scarred my soul forever, something I can never forget, no matter how many years pass. It was the year 2019, and I was living on a ranch called Bella Vista, perched high in the rugged peaks of Veracruz. That ranch was my whole world, the place where I grew up. Life there was never easy. Many nights my father returned home exhausted, carrying little food, sometimes not even enough for all of us to eat. I had 8 siblings, and while it was normal in those days for families to be so large, now people frown upon it, even in Bella Vista itself. The land around us was breathtaking during the day, vast fields, dense vegetation, and trees that stretched high into the sky, majestic and calm in the sunlight. But when the sun disappeared behind the mountains, that beauty turned to terror. The wind made the leaves whisper like voices in the dark, as if hundreds of unseen figures were murmuring secrets, or worse, lamenting sorrows of the dead. My mother died when I was only 6 years old. Doctors were too far away, medicines were too expensive, and poverty made every illness fatal. My father used to say that my mother knew she would die because she was poor, and that broke me every time I thought about it. After her death, my grandmother, Justolia, took care of us while my father worked, but she was a harsh, bitter woman. Instead of compassion, she gave us discipline, anger, and blame. Sometimes she would even say it was our fault that my mother had died. Her punishments were cruel. She forced us to do work far beyond our age, herding animals, carrying corn to the mill, heavy tasks that broke our small bodies. My only happiness came from my father and my siblings, especially my brother Beto, just 2 years older than me. He and I were inseparable. We laughed, played, and dreamed together. When grandmother left for errands, the boys would gather and play, though the girls always played apart. But life wasn't just play. Each of us carried burdens far heavier than children should ever know. Then one evening, something happened that changed everything. Beto, who was supposed to bring the sheep home around dusk, came running back pale as a ghost. His chest heaved, his eyes wide, his voice trembling. He said he had seen a naked woman, levitating, floating among the trees of the field. Our dog Tommy, a mischievous black mongrel, had howled uncontrollably, urinated from fear, and cowered before the vision. Beto swore the woman had looked directly into his eyes, and he felt that if he didn't run, she would take him. Our grandmother beat him for abandoning the sheep, accusing him of laziness. But I knew he wasn't lying. He was too shaken, too terrified. The fear in his voice was undeniable. From that day on, none of us wanted to venture into those fields at night. The shadow of that floating woman haunted us all. Years passed. That woman appeared to Beto several times, though no one else ever saw her. Life improved slightly. My father found better work, and though we only saw him on weekends, we finally ate 3 meals a day. But when I turned 15, our fragile peace shattered.
My father fell gravely ill. The doctors said he needed surgery to survive, but the cost was far beyond our means. We begged neighbors for loans, but what we collected was not enough. It felt like watching him die slowly, helplessly, just as my mother had. And then one night, Beto returned home with the money, enough for the surgery. No one asked too much because we were desperate, but in the back of my mind, suspicion gnawed at me. Where had he gotten it? In Bella Vista, no one had that kind of money. The surgery saved my father's life. For a time, we were relieved, grateful. But Beto was changing. He disappeared often, came home late, his eyes clouded with secrets. And then one cold night under the fog, he told me the truth. When my father had fallen ill, Beto had begged the devil for help. His friend had told him that if he offered enough in return, Satan would provide. Beto tried it. Night after night, he called out to the devil until finally, in his dreams, the levitating woman appeared. She told him the money was buried in the field where she always appeared, but there was a price, a human sacrifice. If he refused, one of his brothers, one of us, would be taken instead. Terrified but desperate, Beto unearthed the money. And then he sought out the cartel that had begun operating in Bella Vista. They gave him a job, kill a shopkeeper who refused to pay them rent. With tears in his eyes and a hood over his face, my brother carried out his first murder. He told me that he did it so none of us would have to die. He sacrificed his soul for our father's life. I was horrified, but I couldn't hate him. He was only a boy, trapped in something darker than either of us could comprehend. Weeks later, the cartel kidnapped him. They beat him, mutilated him, cut off one of his toes. They told him there was no way out. Once inside, the only exit was death. From that day forward, my brother belonged to them. Years rolled by. My grandmother died without ever knowing the truth about Beto. I left Bella Vista, taking my father and some of my siblings to the city, where we found honest work. But Beto stayed behind. He bought a house, fathered children across town, and became deeply entangled in the world of blood and violence. To the cartel, he became Metra. To me, he remained my brother, though his spirit was broken. His eyes lost all light, his lips dry, his smile long gone. Whenever I visit, he tells me the woman still appears near his home. The floating figure, with eyes like teeth and blood in her mouth, still waits for him. He fears that one day she will finally come to collect what is owed. Yet, in Bella Vista, the people love him. He gives groceries to the poor, money to the desperate. They once even tried to nominate him as town president, but none of it erases what he became, or the prison he still lives in. That is the story of my family. Poverty took my mother, desperation enslaved my brother, but thanks to him, my father lived. He sacrificed everything, his freedom, his soul, his innocence, so that the rest of us could survive. And so, no matter what he became, no matter how far he fell, I will always love him. He is my brother. He gave his life to the devil, and now he belongs to the cartel. But his sacrifice is the reason I can still tell this story today. People say hell burns beneath the ground. They're wrong. Hell was right there with us, in Bella Vista.